we weren't going to be in a spot where we could demand a high ticket. So we needed to develop some momentum.
That's not a lot of money.
Trying to be cool.
I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I want my own business.
It could never make money.
They was losing money. Stay Sharp, episode 20. I am Jordan Ray, and joining me is my other half, Rashad Tyler. We are the duo behind Raire Label, which produces this podcast and supports fly brands from strategy to implementation. Okay, you're here to go to school on our experiences or just observe. And if you like what you see, make sure you click that subscribe button or hit us up to help on any of the projects you're working on.
Yep.
It's almost holiday time. 2 more holidays coming up, right? At the end of the year. A lot of us get a little bit of a slow down time, break time. Is there anything that you're excited about?
Oddly enough, I really like going to your hometown.
T-Town.
I like going to Tulsa.
The 918, Thugtown. We're about to go to Oklahoma, y'all, and we definitely gonna go see Devon.
Yeah.
That's, Devon is your cousin, family, and he's with the Thunder. And it's kind of been a tradition for us to go to a game around the holidays.
Yeah.
We have a discussion, not even a discussion, but a talk today that is going to be a little bit more peeling back the layers. I think we're getting a flow of some of our conversations being funny and informative or advice. And then some of our conversations are leaning towards, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad. Like, may not be the most exciting stuff to talk about or the most entertaining stuff, but it's like, wow, I didn't realize they went through that. You know what I'm saying? So Raire Label's backstory, long story short, we started in event production to just keep it basic, event production, call it what it is, right? I didn't know that I was going to start a business or run a business. It sort of fell in my lap. I like to think that I agreed to start a business with you rather than I was hell-bent on, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I want my own business. So back in 2018, I was a barber. I cut hair. I went to cosmetology school, got my hours in. I went to work at a barbershop. And I remember having this light bulb moment go off when I was cutting hair about 8 or 10 heads a day. And my rate was $35 per guest or haircut. So I started to do the math when I started to get booked. Because when you're not booked and you're just hungry, you're scrapping, you're desperate, you're doing anything. And I started to do the math and I'm like, $35 for a 30-minute haircut this many times a day, this many times a week. That's not a lot of money based on the lifestyle that I want to live. So this light bulb goes off in my head, and that's when the opportunity also presented itself for us to put our talents together and start to really combine what we had as strengths and get into business together. Cool. So that's 2018. I had no idea what I was about to get myself into. I felt like I was in boot camp. I remember working from the kitchen island for the first year after we registered our business in late 2018. And I remember waking up every day and looking at you and asking you, what should I work on today? Do you remember that? Do you remember that version of me? I do.
I try not to to linger on that thought very much, but yeah, I certainly remember the time.
So, you don't have to linger on it. I'm just bringing it up in this moment. And that's literally what I used to do. I would wake up in the morning, I still had my morning routine, or I went to the gym, whatever that is. And then I would get back from the gym and now what? I had no idea. So we fall into event production because of the backgrounds that we had in production and management, marketing, putting all those things together. And this is going to sound crazy, but I saw an opportunity to make better party flyers. I saw what people in our market or other markets were doing. And I remember seeing all of these party flyers. The word flyers makes me cringe because it's artwork. It's a graphic. It's like a flyer. I need a flyer for my party. It's a piece of art. It's something someone's designed. Anyways, I'm like, I feel like we can do this better, or I want to do this better. I want to take my shot at doing it better. And maybe better isn't necessarily the right way to put it. I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to be in the game and do that. So just a snippet of how I even got into event production. I was like, I want to make artwork. And then that became a whole bunch of other things.
Mm-hmm. because Jordan also wasn't necessarily a fan of like ticketed parties or ticketed events. So it was always like trying to be cool, you know, versus, you know, like most of the promoters we know, like they're trying to get to some money, right? So they don't care as much about like what it looks and what the customer experience is and all the rest of that. They're trying to get you in the doors or get as many people in the doors as possible, which is all good, but that's just not the mindset that, you know, Jordan, of course, had at the time. And so we started to position ourselves as more of an experiential agency, tailoring or building events that had a lot of customer side incentive, and like we lowered our standard for income. So I think this probably helps, like based on what I imagine is a great story to tell around Thirsty.
Mm-hmm. So we come up with this concept towards the end of 2018. We knew that we wanted to put a calendar year together of events.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at me and was like, we need to do, I want to say it was 30 plus events that year in 2019. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do this event once a month, and we'll do this on this holiday and this on this holiday weekend, and we'll have this 12-month calendar of events. So we put together Thirsty. It was our signature event, but it is a hands-on cocktail experience. And side note, it's been replicated in our same market by some former acquaintances, which is crazy because they've never returned the invite for us to come to their hands-on cocktail experience. But another story for another time. I want to tell y'all the nitty gritty. What happened to that event? Why did we get into it? Which I'm about to get into. How did we get out of it? Right. So we start producing this event once a month with a different spirit. So 1 month it was cognac. The next month it was vodka, gin, tequila, whatever. Mm-hmm. People would come and literally make their own drinks with the help of a bartender. There was music, food, the whole nine. It was really, really fun. We did charge. It was a ticketed event, but we also had a pretty lengthy guest list. I think that 50% of the room ended up being people who we invited. 50%, yeah. I don't know, maybe a little less.
Yeah, a lot less over time, but you know, initially, like that's how you start anything, right? So you were also a venue manager or bar manager at Jazz Market prior to this. And so you knew all of the local liquor reps. So those guys would come to Jazz Market and try to get programs off, right? So
shout out to John.
Yeah. And so there's quite a bit of like, you know, how do you end up knowing who to talk to? How do you build like confidence in the relationship to deliver something like this from the brand perspective? So there's, you know, quite a bit of ground to cover there. I don't know that we should spend a lot of time on it because I know we want to fast track a good portion of this story, but
like it was a great program. We made a name for ourselves by introducing this particular event. Everyone who came to it spoke so highly of it. But I started to realize, okay, if I have a $3,000 budget for a event and my DJ is $500 and the food is $1,000 and the venue is $1,000, that's $2,500 right there. I have $500 left to do swag bags or print signage or whatever that is. And then I'm asking for money from the sponsor, which we were getting sponsorship money. But when you just add everything up, I wasn't paying myself. I wasn't paying you. And these are events that monthly took about probably 40, 45 hours of manual labor a month. And then you have to do the setup. You have to be there the whole time at the event, so on and so forth. You're the one unpacking stuff, unboxing stuff, getting deliveries, making sure that the Eventbrite is working, making sure your promotions and marketing are going out. And we weren't able to pay ourselves. So when that I started to calculate that, mind you. I'm just sharing where my mind was in 2018 when I'm starting to work for myself for the first time. And I'm really understanding, how much things cost. I didn't even have knowledge of how to really input that in a spreadsheet at the time. And I was like, hold up, something got to change. And then we had the summer of 2019 situation, Essence Festival, that set us back.
No, I mean, I think, you know, even my perspective on like Thirsty, I thought that we were a new organization. We needed to spend some energy setting ourselves up with reputation in the market. So although my responsibility was executing a lot of the art and kind of positioning things, the reality is we weren't going to be in a spot where we could demand a high ticket. So we needed to develop some momentum. So at the bare minimum, I thought, doing these events, if the cash was, or the returns were, slight, at least as long as they weren't losing money.
They was losing money. These was losing money.
But sometimes that's the investment. So
we were investing money. But I started to just understand what that was for real.
Well, the problem was, and I think what you realized was, it could never make money.
That's what I'm saying. I realized that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mention the photographer. If we paid the our photographer rate was, at the time, I think we were able to get somebody for like $300 to come take photos. And he never agreed. He never agreed with me about photos.
Came from being, on the promoter side.
And I'm like, if you don't capture it, it didn't happen. If we don't have something to post on our website and on our socials, the event didn't happen.
This wasn't really an argument.
We're paying $300 for a photographer, and he's like, he was so against it, and I just was like, here you go, come take these photos. And we still love those photos to this day. They say a lot.
And one of the reasons it's good to work with or for us is Jordan would much rather get you rich than get us rich. So she's going to pay you.
Absolutely. Because when people get paid, they pick up the phone and they show the fuck out.
If you're in a seat like mine, you heard the rest of what I said and you see how she ignored everything else that I offered. But all right.
Yo, he sends me memes on Instagram. The latest meme you sent me was of a woman ignoring the points her man was making.
Yep.
Anyways, I guess if that's how you see it.
It's pretty obvious. It's on tape. Let me quickly track back to Essence Festival.
Essence Festival happened right after, I'm sorry to kind of cut you off, but we had our Thirsty series that led up right to that summer of Essence Festival. When I started to think about that, I didn't realize that all of that happened in 6 months.
It was a very aggressive schedule. That's what I'm saying. Like, we needed to build momentum, all of those other things. And, I was clear. So Essence was positioned to be our cash in moment, right? We severely overestimated, our impact and our positioning. But I think the main thing was we needed to really launch the company during Essence Festival that year. And in hindsight, the clarity on that was to our benefit, because we would have been, an obscure agency or just like some party promoters. I don't know how to even think about how we would have been positioned if we hadn't done that Essence event.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of money. And then the next year, though, and this should be noted, pandemic. So there was no
That's what
Essence.
we're about to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there. But you think if we had a slower rollout plan, then we wouldn't be here for those reasons, because we wouldn't have gotten enough eyeballs and enough attention. We lost a considerable amount of money. I don't mind telling you what it is. You should call me and ask. But the event or that weekend ends up being like a good launch for us in the sense that we got relationships that we wouldn't have otherwise had, and experience that we wouldn't have otherwise had. We probably trauma bonded tremendously after experiencing what we did, both financially and reputationally. Will you have thoughts there?
I just trauma bond over that it's so true, and I'm so sad about it.
Yeah.
But it was a considerable loss, and just think about how much some of us pay to go to school and get an education.
That's right.
That's what happened. And you had to break it down to me like that to make me almost feel a little bit better. Like, hey, people pay to go to school to learn things. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting stuff for the first time, you got to pay and invest. And you have the ownership though, which is the plus side, but you don't get out of doing the work or putting up the money to get the experience. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot. So boom, we finished the rest of 2019 out and pandemic hits. So we in Atlanta at the time, early 2020, you are starting the record label. It's raining every day in Atlanta. It is raining
Miserable.
Every day. I don't know how y'all live in Atlanta with all that traffic and all that rain, all them clouds. Schemo know I'm talking to her right now. So we're in Atlanta. Whew, child, that was a time. And I remember when the NCAA conference tournaments got canceled.
Yeah.
And then the NCAA tournament got canceled.
Right there in March.
And then I'm looking at you. We need to go on and get back to New Orleans.
Because we have an event that week.
Well, hold up. We did have an event. So we
ended up canceling it.
We had a Valentine's. No. That would have been March. I'm sorry. It wasn't Thirsty. Because we
launched a couple other brands, event brands.
We did have something on. I believe it was March 20th.
Mm-hmm.
When the NBA canceled, there was like a game or something that they canceled it at halftime or something or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
We had a G Herbo concert, y'all. Getting it in. And they canceled the NBA game. And I said, we need to go right now. We need to go pack our stuff, get on the road, because we had drove with a whole bunch of stuff to Atlanta. We were like living there basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. We got on the road the next day to get back home. And on the drive back, whatever highway between Atlanta and New Orleans, I'm looking at Rashad saying, I'm about to pimp you out.
Mm.
I'm about to pimp you out.
That sounds so wild, yo.
We about to do logos.
We're on the road in between Atlanta and New Orleans, and we driving, and I'm like, yo, I'm about to pimp you out.
That's what it was.
Jesus Christ.
This is the plan. So I laid it all out and you agreed to it. All right, look. So we get back to New Orleans, we gather our thoughts, and all of our events for the remaining part of 2020, I knew that this wasn't going to be no 1 month, 2 month thing. I'm looking overseas and I'm like, oh, we about to be locked up for a minute. So you had helped spearhead a couple deals with other organizations in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, we were so excited about it and it just disappeared.
Oh yeah, we were lined up. Just keep in mind, like we lost all of that money that previous, 19 July. So I still had other business in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we had, ways to recover, although it could have been much faster. I mean, but we were just using that stuff just to hold the machine together. The momentum, or at least the awareness that had grown in New Orleans, we were able to capitalize on. So we had things in the can or planned to launch with Larry, I think probably that May. And then we're working with Freewater. And now we're all kind of much more mature in our businesses and our lanes. But those guys are at the top of the pile in terms of what happens in New Orleans on the event side. Had that not happened, we probably would still be in the experiential event business. And I don't know, luckily or unluckily for us, we went a different way and, turned more of our attention to like the client services. But yeah, we was about to turn up.
I never thought about it like that. I think I would be just okay with being on the experiential side if that was how things unfolded. But because things didn't unfold like that, I really enjoy what we're able to do now. And we're on the support services side, but we still have a lot of control, I guess, or autonomy in us setting the tone rather than sometimes the market or seasonal things setting the tone. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get back into experiential, but it needs to be aligned with brand. And we're down to do that. I mean, we've done some things in between, but where we are front facing and, on the presenter side of like events, like that's not really where, again, we've decided to go. And it was largely because the opportunity went away from us, and the pandemic killed everybody who was in that business for the most part, or at least for a short time. I mean, I was still operating in Florida.
Yeah,
Florida
was still
open.
Bend that ass over in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really put our heads down in 2020 and went to work. We would walk a few blocks over to the Superdome, run around the Superdome, get a workout in, because the gyms are all closed and we're gym people. I feel like those memories are just so vague to me now, because we did the same thing every day, worked, ate the same thing for dinner, got back up, worked out.
Built the muscle.
We really, really absolutely did. I think we were able to formalize a lot of our processes. We were able to, mind you, this is my second year of entrepreneurship. I hesitate to call myself an entrepreneur because I haven't owned quite more than one business yet, but that was my second year owning a business. I'm starting to now realize how much more I don't know and how much more I have to skill up. So I really took advantage of that time to figure some stuff out, right? And we built our clientele. We started doing more and more branding projects because think about it, we were already doing brand and marketing for events, right? You can call them event products. You can call them event brands. Like you mentioned, we had a logo for Thirsty. We had a logo for our headphone party. The things that we did with, or the things that we were planning to launch and release with Free Water and Larry Morrow, we had whole identities for them. They were going to be long-term situations. Yeah. And I'm like, why can't we just do that for clients and other people who are starting businesses? We'll just do brand identities for them and it can be all virtual. And you were like, yeah, I think so. And then we just eased into it, right?
Yeah. I think there were like quite a few things that we did that were virtual during that time. And the problem became sustainability on the event side, because if you're not ultimately like either controlling or teaching and passing off the playbook, like you really can't sustain being in those types of businesses, being a service provider at a high level. So we ended up really realizing that all of the runway was in being better digital marketers, being more precise with gathering content, what content shoots needed to look like, feel like, be like, you know, what were the check boxes that were necessary to ensure that you got more than you needed so that you would have a good array of options when it came to your final decision making on what went out to the world. So yeah, I mean, now, you know, we are at this point of knowledge, but certainly those circumstances gave way to the path, if not the total direction.
For sure. We're always growing too. So what we got coming up next is super exciting. I got to plug Raire Goods right quick. Those are our candles that you see, that you've seen a couple times and we've mentioned a couple times, but we're pivoting. I wouldn't even say pivoting, but we're expanding into products, right? Mm-hmm. And Raire Goods is something that's going to be lifestyle. It's going to be somewhat of an extension of Raire Label as an agency. It's going to present though as its own brand. So really excited about that. We're still working on that, y'all. Hold tight. And we're learning a lot about product and packaging. And I'm totally on the, I guess, application side more. And you're really spearheading a lot of the setup behind the marketing, the scaling, what the growth and awareness strategies are going to be.
Yeah. I think the benefit of having worked in like print factories or print companies when I was really young, there's just like so much like knowledge and experience that I'm able to leapfrog over because we provide those things as services. But the responsibility of understanding all of the ins and outs of how to produce your product, how to reduce your costs, how to understand, identify, communicate, and sustain the appropriate relationship with all of your vendors and suppliers. Like that stuff is infinitely more important than the brand piece. And we're brand people, but we understand marketing to be our unfair advantage because we know that at the end of the day, we got to deliver to folks, but we won't make no money. That's why the Thirsty example is so important, right? We know that even this product and this project gives you a chance to understand our capabilities. It gives you a chance to understand what we are thinking about because you get a chance to see how we think and how we kind of maneuver through things. And more importantly, if you don't have confidence that somebody is going to show up day in, day out for your company, you can look at them and how they show up for theirs sometimes and go, hey, can you perform for me like you do for yourself? And if so, we think we'll be okay. And it's not lost on us, of course, that most of the people you have the most confidence in are doing, you're hiring them to do things that you've already seen them do. Mm-hmm. And so I think this project or this company that we're building gives our consumer packaged goods clients even more confidence that we know what the hell is going on and how to execute things. And if they don't, we can pass those insights on to them. Yeah. And they have a better chance of succeeding.
That's a great breakdown. But as we head into 2024, we're really excited to also get into some educational platform courses type things. Mm-hmm. Building out, we've been discussing a lot of it on the strategic end. I think 2024, maybe early 2025, but we're really trying to do things that move the needle, and we're really trying to do things right so we don't have to come back and do them later.
Yeah, we have to help a lot more people.
Yeah.
So one of the things about like our mission overall is in supporting other companies, there's a price point where we can get in and supply ourselves, right? And do things for you. I think on the other side of that, there are lots of people who could leverage what we know how to do or what other people in these marketplaces know how to do to get to a place where we can then be of service or support to you. Because your first business is probably not one that you should come to people like us to help support you on, right? There's like a foundational language or at least a foundational education that will give you the appropriate confidence to be in the world with your thing. And if you come from day one spending a lot of money on marketing, advertising, without knowing how your business actually makes money, you're going to lose your shirt. And we don't want to be on that ride, which is why we have our vetting process on the to begin with. But we're also simultaneously responsible for sharing the information, like passing the buck back, or how is it phrased?
Paying it forward.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I think we should have that discussion pretty soon, when you should do it yourself and when you should outsource, when you're ready for an agency, when you're ready for a team, when you're ready to hire. I think we should have that discussion soon. So we can do that. If this is your sign, anybody watching who is in the mix, working on something, trying to figure it out, 1 year in, 2 year in, 3 years in, 5, 10, 15, however many years in, and you watching, it's always a chase. You're fly, you're ambitious. You're always going to be working on the next thing. There's times where I look around and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then there's moments where I understand exactly what we're doing, exactly how it needs to be done, and I can feel better. So see y'all next week. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like and you comment and you subscribe. And stay sharp. He was supposed to say that.